Hello everybody, Gwengala Tunji here. Welcoming you to G James STRATRGIC channel, where we are looking at all about benchmarking today. All about benchmarking. And we are going to look at what is benchmarking and the purposes of benchmarking. And why do we title it all about benchmarking? Because in the series of strategic models and performance management which we are currently dealing with, we have looked at a lot of them because it's a bit elaborate, and we had looked at models under environmental analysis like Potter's Diamond, like Pestel. We had looked at other models like SWOT analysis, value chain. We are look at marketing. We are look at Boston Consulting Group model, popularly called BCG. We had looked at quite a few of them, except for hands-on growth vector analysis and benchmarking, which we are proceeding to look at benchmarking today. Five forces model rather has been looked at. We are proceeding to look at benchmarking today, and it's a bit elaborate, and that is why we say it's all about benchmarking. So we are going to be looking at what is benchmarking, the purpose of benchmarking. We are going to be looking at the potential benefits we are going to enjoy when we embark on benchmarking. We are going to be looking at methods of benchmarking, which are a bit elaborate. So we'll be looking at internal benchmarking using league tables and the like. We are going to go into detail of it. Competitive benchmarking, which is a bit fairly popular among them all. We are going to look at process benchmarking, which we can call also detailed benchmarking. We are going to look at customer benchmarking. We are going to look at strategic benchmarking. And when we are talking about strategic benchmarking, one unique thing about it is that it answers to the question, why are we here? That is the real existence of an organization, and it's at the strategic and governance cadre of the organization. That is why it's called strategic benchmarking. We will move on to look at functional benchmarking, which deals with departmental and the like. We are going to look at product benchmarking, which we can call reverse engineering. We are going to look at requirements that we must have and put in place even before, or that could make a successful benchmarking endeavor. We are going to look at it. We are going to look at envisaged problems envisaged, which we are going to provide solution to when we want to embark on benchmarking. So these and many more we are going to go in detail in the series of strategic models and performance management. If you are just joining us, please, we would love that you subscribe. Please go and subscribe and click all notifications so that you'll be receiving from us anytime we send new video, and we are going to do and release more videos. Click and comment so that we can be hearing from you should you have any questions. So we are going to go into details of all about benchmarking. All about benchmarking, looking at the purpose of benchmarking. They usually say that without knowing the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable, and when it comes to benchmarking too, it's not an exception. It's not really an exception. So why and what is the purpose of benchmarking? Basically, the purpose of benchmarking is to better our organization, is to improve on ourselves as members of a corporate organization. Basically, That is it. Anything outside it will lead to abuse if care is not taken. So the purpose of benchmarking is benchmarking in itself is a process of setting standard and target for our products, our services, and the like. So a benchmark is an organization, targeted organization. So I think there are a lot of things that I'm saying here, and let me break them down one by one so that we won't get things mixed up. Looking at the purpose of benchmarking, we need to ask ourselves, why are we benchmarking? What is benchmarking? So why are we benchmarking? I said we are benchmarking primarily to better our organization and improve on ourselves, and anything outside it could lead to abuse of the benchmarking exercise. So it's not to compete with any other organization or to bring any other organization down, which eventually may be one of the results as we continue to be better and improve upon our processes and the like. We could outrun the industrial leader and the like, which is okay. But primarily the purpose of and the objective of benchmarking is to improve on ourselves using the benchmark. So now, who is benchmark? When we are talking about benchmark in this regards, is we are talking about the target, that is the yardstick. In agriculture they will call it yardstick. That is somebody or the organization we are looking forward to, that's in their process, the pace setter that we want to use to match our product, our services, and to be like who we want to be like in the industry. So they are the one we call benchmark. So if you hear me saying benchmark, it can mean this, that is the target. So they are our target, they are our benchmark partner. So I've given like 3 thereabout names for a target, that is a yardstick, an organization, industrial leader, a pace setter that we want to be like or be better off if possible. And we had discussed what the real purpose of benchmark endeavor actually is. So the benchmark process, let us talk about the process that we are going to undertake when we are talking about benchmarking. It is important that we know that benchmarking should be continuous. It's not a one-off process, because if benchmark is a one-off process, that means the benefits that we will enjoy will not be continuous too. When we improve on ourselves, we must continue to improve on ourselves, not improve and stop. When we improve and stop, others that are improving continually will come and leave us and be ahead of us. So for a benchmark process, it should be continuous. That is one of the things that we must equally know. Benchmark process, we must, as we are starting a benchmark process, we must have at the back of our mind that it's a continuous thing. It's not going to be something that we are going to do and stop. We are going to continue in it for the rest of the organization's life. So when we want to benchmark, we must first of all sit down and identify aspects of our organization's performance that we want to compare with our benchmark partner. I want to believe now we understand who a benchmark partner is, or a benchmark, or a target, or a yardstick. So we need to sit as organization, as executives, as leaders, and as management team of the organization. What are the aspects of our performance or performances that we would love to improve upon? So that is primary step that we must take when we are embarking on benchmarking. Then we need to select suitable benchmark, that is suitable partner. Having known the area of our organization we must improve on, then we must look at what are the targets, what are the best pace setter outside there that we can leverage on their abilities, the way they are doing things and the like. So we must select a suitable benchmark. Then having done the first two, then we begin to compare the aspects of our benchmark exercise. That is the first stage of identification. Then we begin to compare it against our benchmark partners' performance, their processes, their services, their products. And having done that, of course, we are going to identify gaps, that is where they are doing better than us and the like. So we must identify the gap in performance between the benchmark and our own organization. Then having observed that, we need to know what are the things that must change, what area must we improve upon in our performance. Then we must implement the change. We must implement change or changes immediately. And implementing changes immediately is good, but it's not good enough if it's not going to be monitored. Don't forget, when we started, I said that we must ensure as much as possible that once we started the benchmarking process, we must, at the back of our mind, resolve that it's going to be a continuous thing. So likewise, having implemented the improve upon observation, we must continually monitor our progress and performance, how we are doing better and the like. So we must, this is to ensure implementation is being carried out and everybody stick to the process of improving our organization's performance. With monitoring, it is there that we are actually going to have the benefits accruing to us from benchmarking processes and benchmarking endeavor. The potential benefits of benchmarking. We cannot overemphasize the benefits that benchmark is going to give any organization that does it and embark on it. Just like I think Aristotle said it, that a life that is not examined is not worth living. So benchmarking is an examination of ourselves as organization, and if Aristotle could conclude that it's not worth living, then those that observe examine their lives as organization, even as individual, then they have a better chance of performing better and being leaders in any aspect of their endeavor they've chosen to be. So likewise, having benchmark done on continual basis will put us ahead of others in our organization and in our industry, in our markets. Even let's say we are new entrants in the industry, and if we continue to benchmark, monitor, implement it and the like, we can be very sure that sooner than expected we are going to be major in the organization. And if those that are ahead are lacking behind, are not having benchmarking or improving upon themselves continuously, they are going to find us a very hard nut to crack. Benefits of benchmarking. It can be used to learn from others. And don't forget that a learner is always a leader. So when we learn from others, we put ourselves in a position to continuously lead in our industry and make profits. So that is one of the primary purpose or benefits of benchmarking. Also, it helps us to improve. It equally helps us to identify our weaknesses. And don't forget that problems identified, they are half solved. So it's a good benefit when we know what we don't know, if I can use that word. So that is a weakness. When we identify and reason along with our weaknesses, it becomes strength for us. Last but not least, I'm going to mention it encourages continuous improvement, because we know that this aspect of our business, we are not that strong in it, so we always ensure that we don't lag behind there. So it puts us in a conscious position, and consciousness is very good. We are at alert, and we will not allow anything to go wrong in that aspect of our business. And when we do that, we can be sure that our customers are going to be well satisfied, they are going to be happy. And when customers are satisfied and happy, we can be sure that we are going to have profit, and also we are going to be in the industry for a quite long time. Methods of benchmarking, we've itemized it, so we are not going to waste our time because the topic is elaborate. Requirement for successful benchmarking, and this is key. We need to know the requirements when we are benchmarking, because if we don't know the requirements that we need at the end of the day to benchmark, the real benefits of benchmarking may not actually fully accrued and actualized. So one important aspect of successful implementation of benchmarking is that we must, with due care, select the aspects of our business about the aspects that we really are concerned about. We must make a selection of it. Is key. Like we just talked about concepts, the costs relationship may be fair in comparison between us and our benchmark partner, but if their product concepts, their product ideology is different, it should not be good that we benchmark against such a product because of that uniqueness of the ideology, which we call concepts. So selection is very important. The selection of our partner, the selection of the key area of our own organization we would love to improve upon. Also, another thing that will make benchmarking successful is we must, from the start, from the go, put it at the back of our mind that it's going to be continuous process. That is something we are starting to continue with. It's something we are starting to continue with. Is critical for the success of benchmarking implementation. Because if we do not continue, that means the benefit will just be for a while, then it's go back to reverse gear, and then the benefit of what we ordinarily should have enjoyed and continue to enjoy for the effort we've put in before may be lost. So successful benchmarking, selection is key of our partner, of the area of our performance we want to improve. Also, we must let it register in us that it's a continuous business endeavor that we want to undertake benchmarking continuously. Also, when we are benchmarking, it should be as open, and we should be open to ourselves as much as possible and open to our partner as much as possible. Don't forget, like I said before, if care is not well taken, it can lead to unnecessary litigation. So openness can avail us this litigation and the like. So we should be as open and as professional about it as we can. And also, we must see benchmarking as an endeavor to better improve ourselves continuously. What are some of the challenges that we may face when we are benchmarking, like we had discussed? When we are benchmarking, it's possible that we will not have reliable information as expected from our benchmarking partner. This should not discourage us. It's part of the challenges that come with benchmarking. But as much as possible, we should be decisive about it and go for information the best way we could possibly get it. Also, it might be difficult to identify critical process in our business endeavor, and it's one of the key aspects of benchmarking process. As we've discussed, is key that we identify the areas. It's key that we know ourselves very well before we start to benchmark, so that we will not mismatch, we will not compare organizations that are unique and have different concepts, that have different strategic objective than ourselves. Meanwhile, their strategic objective are not well known to us, and if their strategic, I'm using this as example, but their strategic objective is different from ours now, we'll see that trying to compare will not be the best idea, not to talk of implementing, because when we implement wrong selection of partner, wrong selection of our area we want to improve on, we are not that open to ourselves. We, at the end of the day, we observe one thing, and the thing we are going to observe is that the objective is already missed. That is, the benchmarking processes, benchmarking endeavor may not lead us to the right result that we actually expected. For this not to happen, we must try as much as possible to ensure that we make right selection and go for reliable information as much as is practicable and could help us. So we had looked at the meaning of benchmarking, the purposes of benchmarking. We had looked at the benefits of benchmarking, which we cannot overemphasize in the improvement of our organization, in the longevity and going concern of our organization. We had looked at so much methods of benchmarking, like the league table. When we have league table, it can help us to match ourselves against ourselves, just like in the sport or in some educational league like Ivy League. It helps us to internalize our benchmarking. And when we are talking about internal benchmarking, we are looking at ourselves, the best of us, to help us compare to the rest of us, to that we need to improve on. Then we talk about competitive benchmarking, in which it is usually competitors focused, and we said we must be very careful when we are looking at our competitor to ensure that we look for the best, we compare and benchmark against the best, we try as much as possible to get best or reliable information, and we must select our benchmark partner very carefully so that their unique objective, their strategic objective, and their conceptualization will not be missed. And if we do not have the same concepts, it's not good that we benchmark against them. Process benchmarking, we say, could be called also detailed benchmarking, in which we look at detailed nitty-gritty of our business processes from the beginning of a product to the finishing line. Everything that we go into it, we check it against the best performer, maybe in the industry, maybe outside our industry, and the market, depending on the useful information we can get and the result we intended to actually achieve. Also, we have looked at customer benchmarking, and we say when we are benchmarking customers, a form of a feedback which is very important so that we can produce what the customer actually intended to buy. Like one of my mentor in business coach say, the best performer of organization are those that produce what the customer actually wants, not what they want to produce. No, oftentimes we say follow your passion. We are advised to follow our passion, but sometimes, as good and as intelligent as that may sound, if what we are passionate about is not what people want or what people want to buy, we ask ourselves how productive, how profitable are we going to be? And even when we are profitable in short term, can it stand the test of time for the long haul? So that is that about that. Then we'll talk about strategic benchmarking, and we say it usually asks the question about our organization's existence. Why are we in existence? Are we meeting our strategic objective? Are we delivering as intended and the like? Are we making the communal impacts that we intended when we set up the organization? So these are the aspects of selection that strategic benchmarking will look at. Functional benchmarking, as discussed, is about looking inward also now about our organization's functions, the sales, the marketing, the research department, and host of others, and setting ourselves against the best performer in the industry, even outside our industry, and trying to improve on our functions. Product benchmarking, this another pure competitive or competitive benchmarking, in which we can equally call it reverse engineering, looking at the detail of the components, the costs, the concepts that go into the product's production or rendering of a particular service. So this is product benchmarking, and we are service oriented. We can equally call it service benchmarking. We had equally looked at requirements for successful benchmarking just now, and how to overcome challenges of benchmarking, which we know it will usually come. Sometimes we may not be able to get reliable information from our partner as we intended. Is possible litigation could be imminent if anything goes wrong, and we need to be careful about it. But looking at all about benchmarking, we can conclude on one thing, that the benefits of it actually outweighs the other side of it. The benefits of it will actually outweigh the disadvantage or everything that may not be too good about it. So this leads us to strategic model and performance management, almost completing it. The next time we are discussing, it will be on on-off growth factor analysis. From Gigens Associates, Bengal Latunji. If you are yet to subscribe, please click the notification button. I hope you've enjoyed this series. Click the notification button, subscribe to Gigens Associate channel. We are value to life. I want to believe we must have added value to you right away. We are value to your business.